Hello students, today we will study branches of economics. The study of economics is divided into two distinct branches. They are microeconomics and macroeconomics. So let us go ahead and study what are the further things in economics. So, microeconomics. The word micro means very small. So, microeconomics implies study of economics at a very small level. What does this exactly mean? In a society comprising of many individuals collectively, every single individual makes just a small part. So, the economic decision taken by a single individual become the subject matter of microeconomics. What are the economic decision an individual takes? We can cite some example in this regard. So microeconomics means a very small proportion, a small contribution of an individual towards the society or the national income. So let us study what kind of decisions an individual can take to contribute towards the economics or a economic of a society or country. In order to satisfy various wants, an individual buys goods and services. To buy goods and services, the individual has to pay some price from his limited amount of income. So the individual has to make a decision with regard to quantity of the good to be purchased at given price. She has to also decide the combination of different goods to buy given her income so that she can get maximum satisfaction as a buyer. So here, as earlier in the part 1 I had explained you all that we have to contribute towards the society. We need to spend certain amounts, whereas I had discussed about phone bills, rent, groceries and water bill, electricity bill, all these things in the previous part. So the same thing we are seeing here as an individual what they can do. So here comes the contribution of an individual towards the economic condition of a country. So they buy goods and services. Goods and services, the individual has to pay some price. So whatever we want to buy, we will not get it for free. We have to give it. See, for example, we have an earning of 10,000 rupees. In the 10,000 rupees, we need to make a budget which shows like 2,000 goes for rent, 1,000 goes for grocery, 1,000 goes for other expenses, 1,000 goes for electricity bill. All these proportions we are gonna pay. It is a small amount by an individual which he contributes for the economic of the state and later which is being converted to the national economical state. Whatever we have been developed or whatever we are giving, everything counts for the nation, end of the calculation. An individual also sells goods and services as a seller. Here he has to take decision regarding the quantity of good to be supplied to a given price so that she can earn some profit. So in the first part what we saw is that we are spending money to buy goods and services. Second, what we are seeing is that an individual who is selling and making money for his own benefit or for his own expenses. So here the person has to make a decision at what quantity he has to sell the good and for what is the price. For example, we are going to a market to buy 1 kg of tomato. 1 kg of tomato is the quantity. 1 kg is quantity. Now price is 1 kg tomato is of 20 rupees. So the person is paying selling 1 kg tomato for 20 rupees so that she can earn some profit. All of us pay price to buy a good. How does the price get determined in the market? Microeconomics provides answer to this question. So what they are saying is, we all pay a price to buy a goods. How does the price get determined? So how you can decide for what quantity, what amount has to be paid by the individual to purchase that goods? So the answer is, microeconomics gives a proper answer for this kind of questions which arises in our mind. In order to produce a good, an individual producer has to take decision as to how to combine the various factors of production so that maximum output can be produced at minimum cost. So here, in order to produce good, an individual producer in the sense the person who is producing that particular or who has got a production unit of that particular good. For example, tomato, anybody cannot, everybody can produce it, but not at a larger quantity. So if you want something at a larger quantity, that can be done only by an producer, and he has to take a decision as how to combine the various factors of production so that maximum output can be produced at minimum cost. So if a person has to produce tomato, he cannot produce it in a house or in a veranda or in a lawn. He has to have a huge farm, he has to have a land, he has to take certain materials, like he has to have seeds, he has to have sand, he has to have other things to protect the production of a tomato. Then he has to keep people to look after it, he has to put water to it and all those things. There are many things which involved in a single production of a product. So this all can be taken care by the producer. All these are some important areas of study under microeconomics. Next we come for macroeconomics. Macroeconomics. The word macro means very large. In comparison to an individual, the society or the country or economy as a whole, it is very large. So the economic decision taken at the level of the economy as whole are subject matter of macroeconomics. So macroeconomics means the production or anything which is being done, it is done in a very large, in a huge way. In comparison to an individual, the society or the country or economy as a whole is very large. So in microeconomics we studied it is a one particular individual's contribution, but here comes the society, the country and the whole of economy is a very large. So the economic decisions taken at the level of the economy as whole are subject matter of macroeconomics. Take the example of the economic decision taken by the government. So here the involvement of the government comes in a huge parameters. We all know that the government represents the whole country, not just any individual. So the decision taken by the government are meant for solving the problem for the whole society. So here, since the production will be large, there will be lots of other factors involved in macroeconomics. So we see that the government becomes the representative of the entire country and for the society, but not only for the individual. So the decision taken by the government meant for solving problems, because when the production is huge, supply will be huge. If supply will be huge, transportation is involved. We have to interchange from the state to state, city to city, country to country. So lot of things involved. Considering all these issues, issues in the sense the problems. So here the government is formed to control everything. For example, government makes policies with respect to collection of taxes, expenditure on public goods and welfare activities, etc., which affect the whole economy. How do such policies work in the subject matter of macroeconomics? So here, when government involves, they make a lot of policies. For example, they also involve themselves of collection of taxes. Here the person has to buy a huge farm or a huge land. For that land he has to pay tax, and if his production is high, then he has to distribute it to different states, different cities, for which transportation is required. So if he has to send Kerala, for example, Kerala is a country which has huge production of bananas. So everybody will have a tree of banana in their houses in Kerala. If you people have visited, you must have noticed. If not, this is the phenomenon over there. So Bangalore doesn't have so much production of bananas. So if the person who is producing banana in Kerala has to send it to our state or our city, then what he has to do is he has to take a transportation. So he has to contact a transportation company. So if he is contacting a transportation company, they will not give it for free, right? So if you want their services, then you have to pay the amount for the transportation company. So that also is like a tax only. So that particular transportation person, if he is coming from Kerala to Karnataka, they will have toll gates. There will be many toll gates. Then interstate taxes they will have, since he is carrying the goods. So he has to pay taxes. There are so many things which are involved in it. So that is the reason why the government makes policies by which they can earn money for the welfare of the society and the nation, and those taxes can be considered into lot of other things, like for example, they can give free education to poor children, they can build some NGOs, they give free ration, and so many other things are involved in this particular process. How do such policies work is the subject matter of macroeconomics. So I have given you a basic example some time back how this particular taxes and all has been collected and how they can be made use of it. In microeconomics, we study the behavior of an individual as a buyer and seller. As buyer, the individual spends money on goods and services, which is called his/her consumption expenditure. If we add consumption expenditure of all individuals, then we get idea of aggregated consumption expenditure of the whole society. Similarly, aggregating incomes of individuals become total income of the country or national income. So later we will study that. So here what we are seeing is, in microeconomics we study the behavior of an individual buyer or seller. So a person, whoever is buying or selling, is spending money or goods, so which is called his or her expenditure. For example, if I want to go and buy a milk is around 1 liter 52 rupees. So if I want milk is my necessity. So I am giving the seller is the person who is giving me the milk, and I am the buyer. So I give him 52 rupees and he gives me 1 liter of milk. So I get what I want, that is my personal consumption. I am taking 1 liter milk for my own benefit and giving him 52 rupees, which will be his earning of the money. If we add consumption expenditure to all individuals, then we get an idea of aggregated consumption expenditure of the whole society. So unlike me, there will be many other people. I want milk, someone wants tea, someone wants coffee, someone wants rice, someone wants spices, and there will be so many things, that all particular things we will put together so that we can get an expenditure, because every product has got its own amount, everything we cannot get it for 52 rupees. No, if I am getting milk for 52 rupees, tea will be around 100 rupees, the packet of the tea, and coffee, it depends what kind of quantity they want. So everything is mattered, and this all things comes under the whole society of consumption and expenditure. Similarly, aggregated incomes of individual becomes total income of the country. So exactly the same way, this particular income what a person is getting, that is getting converted to the society, society to the city, city to the state, state to the nation. All we put together, and that will become per capita income of our national income or our country's income for the year. So study of this aggregates such as national income, total consumption expenditure of the country, etc. comes under macroeconomics. Since it is not a calculation of an individual, but it is a calculation of a whole society, whole city, whole state, whole country. So this can be considered only under the macroeconomics, which is converted into national income. So here what they do is total consumption in the sense total purchase expenditure of the country. Another example of macroeconomic issue Another example of macroeconomic issue is the study of inflation and price rise or price rise. Inflation or price rise does not affect an individual only, but it affects the whole economy. So knowing its cause and effects as well as controlling it come under the study of macroeconomics. So here we are talking about the price now. So if it is in a huge, if the price is very high or huge, it just does not affect an individual only, but also it affects the whole economy of a country, because the milk what you get for 52 rupees as 1 liter, if the same milk you are getting it for 150 rupees, how many will buy? Everybody will not be able to afford 150 rupees for a liter of milk, right? So we need to understand that. So here, if we stop buying the milk, first thing though, milk lying in the factories or the dairies, it will get spoiled. It's a loss. And if the production is of 100 liters per day, they will have a calculation of 100 liters into 150 rupees is equal to an X amount. And out of which 100 liters, if you are buying or selling only 20 liters, 80 liters is under loss. So whatever assumptions they will have, that also is going under loss, no? So that affects the whole economy. So knowing this cause and effects as well as controlling it come under the study of macroeconomics. Similarly, problem of unemployment, economic growth and development, etc. consider the whole population of the nation and hence are covered under the study of macroeconomics. So similarly to the price hike and the losses what they are facing, things like that comes under the problem of unemployment, economic growth and development. As I earlier told you, unemployment also is a problem only, because if you are not working, you will not be earning. If you are not earning, you cannot be a part of economical growth. You will not be contributing to the growth of the country's economic and development. So these are certain concerns with the whole population of the nation and hence are covered under the study of macroeconomics. So next let us study positive versus normative economics. The study of economics involves both positive and normative aspect in terms of understanding the events taking place around us, taking decision, prescribing rules and regulations and implementing policies to solve economic problems. Positive economics talks about what is, whereas normative economic talk about what ought to be or what should be. Positive economics talks about the things happening or might happen in the economic world. Normative economic gives value judgments about things and tell us to what should have happened. Consider the following statements. So here we are going to study further about positive and normative economics. This both studies gives us a glance about understanding the events taking place around us, like taking decisions, prescribing rules and regulations, and implementing policies to solve economic problems. Positive economics talks about what is. So they describe as what is, whereas normative economic talks about what ought to be or what should be. Positive economics talks about the things happening or might happen in the economic world. For example, if we have a production of one particular product, like we talk about simple thing, water bottles. So company has a huge production of water bottles. So their thoughts will be like, what is the strategy of sales? What is the income? What could be the cost of this bottle, and what will be our profit? What is the expense which arises in production of these bottles, and so many things. Similarly, normative economics will talk only about what should be. What should be in the sense, two group of people are talking here. One is what is the cost, what is the sales rate, and the other one is talking what should be, like how we can deal with it, what are the problems we are facing, how we can deal with these problems. Positive economics talks about the things happening or might happen in the economics. So they are talking about the present and the future, whereas normative economics gives value judgments about things and tells us to what should have happened. Consider the following statements. Let us see what are the statements carefully. India's population have crossed 100 crore mark. India is the second largest populated country in the world. So we have crossed 100 crores as number of people, and we have come under the second largest populated country in the entire world. India should not allow its population to grow so fast. It must control its population. Statement 1 describes a phenomenon which is happening. This is a positive statement. So this is a statement 1 which says that country has crossed 100 crore and it is second largest in the world. So this is happening right now. So which means this is a positive statement. Now second thing is give a value judgment on India's population. This is a normative statement. Normative statement in the sense what can be, what should have happened and what they have to do. So it says that we should not allow the population to grow so fast. So we need to give value judgment on India's population. So we need to decide, or we need to see what we have to do, what are the steps we have to take to control the growth of population. Now consider another set of statements given below. Let us read what are the second set of statements. The third one is worker will work hard if they are given more wages. So here we see is if we want good work from the workers, and they have to work hard if we give them good money for their hard work. Factories Factories should increase the wage rate of workers to provide justice for hard work. So the workers are definitely working for factories, and these factories also should understand their hard work and increase the wages in the sense their salary rate of workers to provide justice for hard work. So whatever hard work they are doing, they have to give them the appropriate amount. Statement 3 is a positive statement. It tells about a certain fact. Statement 4 is a normative in nature because it tells about the right thing which, if takes place, will do good to society. So here we study once again, workers will work hard if they are given more wages, which is considered as a positive statement. Whereas statement 4, factories should increase the wages rate of workers to provide justice for hard work, which means it is a normative statement in nature, but it tells a right thing. It is giving a right statement that will help will do good to the society. If they give more money to the workers, it will obviously help in growth of the society. Economic decision making by individuals or government or business firms involves both positive and normative aspect of the things. So economical decisions which are going to be made by the individual or the government or the business firms, it involves both positive and normative aspects as per their nature of work or scope. For example, as given by statement 1 and 2, because India's population is growing fast and posing problems, the government is doing its best to control the population growth through effective family planning and other measures. Similarly, based on statement 3 and 4, government has implemented minimum wage laws so that workers get justice. So in the four statements what we saw is, here is the simplified manner or simplified explanation to it. In statement 1 and 2 we see, first statement says India's population is growing faster and getting problems. Similarly, considering that particular statement, government has taken lot of steps, like they want to control the population growth in an effective. They are suggesting people to go for family planning and other measures they are considering, and guiding the people how they can control the population. Similarly, the third and fourth statement says that workers will work hard if they get more amount, and fourth statement says factories should increase the wage rate of workers to provide justice for their hard work. Considering this particular situation, government has passed a policy or government has implemented a policy of minimum wages. Minimum wages of one particular worker should be a certain amount for 8 hours into 24 days. So Sunday is a holiday for them. So considering all these things, they have to do justice to the workers as well. Now in this, what you have learnt is branches of economics, that is, the study of economics is divided into two distinct branches, microeconomics and macroeconomics. And later we have covered with positive and normative economics. And now let us have a glance on what you have learned from this chapter 1. From chapter 1, what you have learned is economics as a subject matter of social science has been treated as a science of wealth, welfare, scarcity and choice, growth and development, and sustainable development. Microeconomics and macroeconomics are two important branches of economics. Microeconomics deals with the economic decision making by individuals and institutions. Macroeconomic deals with the economic aggregates at the level of the whole economy. Economic facts and figures are called positive economics. Normative economics deals with what should to be, what ought to be, which means what should be. And these are the terminal exercises. I want you people to prepare notes for this. Economics is science of scarcity and choice. Explain. How does wealth definition of economic differ from welfare definition of economics? Differentiate between micro and macroeconomics. Distinguish between positive and normative economics by giving examples. So the whole chapter explained to you all. Work on these 4 questions and prepare for your notes. Thank you.